right, gang, welcome back to the channel. We do appreciate you guys coming along. This is part 5 of our building series. Sorry it's taken me so long to get to this point. The last week's been super busy with clients and all, but we're gonna learn about what's behind your walls now. We've got the home on the foundation, framed up. The plumbers and electricians have been in the house for the first time. They've run lines and stuff, because we all like running water. We don't want to go to the creek. We don't have to carry a lantern. We like flipping a switch and getting power, and we also like to cook with gas a lot of times. So let's check out and see. Let's start at the meter can and work our way in. All right, guys, the meter can. We've all seen meters on our house, right? It's how the power company reads how much power you're using. But where does that come from? Well, that comes through this conduit. The big wire you'll see in a minute comes through this conduit from the main line out at the street, right? So it comes to the house. Most new communities are all underground utilities. The main line from the house comes up, or from the street comes up into the house through this breaker panel outside where your main breaker is. In this case, it's 150 amps. Some homes are 200, some homes are 3, depending on the home and the size of the home and the needs of the home. And then it goes through the meter can, which registers how much power you use, and then into your house. All right, so on the outside here, what do we have? We have a 20 amp breaker that feeds this receptacle. It's called a tug receptacle. Builders are allowed to put in so that subs can use power even before they get power at the house. Okay, that's why it's before the meter. All right, then we have, by code now, we have surge protectors put in so that it keeps surges and power jolts and stuff away from your home, decreasing the chance of fire. So that's how your power gets into your house. Coming around this home, this is a natural gas community. We have an inbound port, if you will, pipe for the gas. This is where the gas is going to come in. Natural gas is going to come into your house from a meter that will eventually be here and then into the house, okay? And this little green wire, that's a ground wire. This will be grounded to the circuit panel and all eventually to the house itself through the ground rod. We'll see that here in just a little bit, all right? This is your water lines, inbound and outbound. This is a tankless hot water heater setup. It's a natural gas community. That's what those are for. And here's a 15 amp line. It's white, so you can tell it's 15 amp. It's 14-2 wire, which we'll discuss in a minute. This is going to be for the on-off switch at the hot water heater, okay? Also up top, you'll see these little tubes, these foil tubes hanging out of the soffit area. Those are for vents, such as bathroom vents and all, so that the air that gets pulled out of your bathrooms and things goes outside the house. So all that moisture and stuff leaves your house. All right, so let's go inside. Hey, on our way into the house, I totally forgot to talk about this. This is a ground wire as well. What this is for, there'll be a port here, if you will, where folks from the outside, like your cable providers, telephone, data, all the different stuff that comes from the outside, if they need to ground something, they'll have a way to ground it. This will be capped off right here, and they can ground to it and then ground their services as well, okay? All right, gang, as we come around to the inside, right behind the meter can, let me step over all this wood here. All right, we have this main line coming from the utility, from the meter can to the utility. It comes up the wall, over across the ceiling, and finally makes its way over to the breaker panel, which we'll see here in just a moment, all right? Also, you'll see all those cable lines and data lines and all the different stuff that you have here, that makes it here, and that'll be distributed throughout the house. Those are the blue and the black and all, okay? We have that. Then we have that ground. This is coming from your meter area, and it's grounding to this ground rod. Remember, we talked about there during our foundational videos and stuff. Everything gets grounded to this rod. This will have a cover over it eventually, but this allows the inspector to see that the house is grounded properly. All right. So we got that. Let's go over to the breaker panel, and we'll talk a little bit about. Remember that ground wire, real quick. Remember that ground wire for the gas line? There it is, right there. That will be grounded. Everything has to be grounded, and that's going to be grounded through the breaker panel box. You'll see that green wire. Let's slow the camera down. That green wire comes up and goes into this breaker panel box. All right. Whole lot going on here, right? We have some yellow wire, some orange wire, some black wire, gray wire, white wire, all kind of cool stuff. Let me give you a little gist. We won't go down any rabbit holes, but your yellow wires, that's 12-2. That means there's 2 conductors, a hot and a neutral, with a ground. 12-2 with a ground, and 12 is the wire size. All right. The lower the lower the number, the thicker the wire. Okay. Then you have your orange wire. Those are going to be for 30 amp services. About a 10 wired in there, 10 gauge. Then you'll have some black wire, maybe some 50 amp circuits in here. Those are gonna be, the orange ones, maybe a 30 amp, like for a dryer. You'll have probably a 40 amp service here for the two black ones, or 40 amps. Those are gonna be 8 wire, about 8 wire with grounds and all in them. That's gonna be for things like stove and air conditioning systems, things of that. And then you have your white wire. That's gonna be 14 2-wire. Those are gonna be 15 amp circuits, whereas the yellow ones are generally 20 amp circuits. They want a little thicker wire because they can carry more power. Okay, so there's the 14-2 on the white ones. And as you can see inside the panel box, let me change hands here, sorry about that. You have your, all these come from the power company basically. You can see the big gray sheath that they came in. You got your 2 hots, your neutral, there'll be grounding, that's all grounded right there. That's a big aluminum ground wire, all right? And that's hooked to your center. The hots, your 220 hots are hooked to your center where the breakers are gonna go. And then all your breakers will be put in here so they can get power, all right? And then you'll also notice on the right-hand side, well, let's start on the left, because keep it in sequence. This is what you call the neutral wires. These white ones are neutral wires. And what neutrals do, your reds, your blacks and all your reds and blacks, they bring power into the house and send it out, basically, through the wires. You can see the black in there as well. All right, the neutral, once power is used at the source, like in the kitchen or what have you, the excess power comes back to this neutral, feeds back to the panel to neutralize it and keep everything inside the system, if you will. There's a lot more technical ways to explain that, but I'm trying not to make it too crazy here. And then of course you got your ground. Remember, everything has to be grounded. So everything here is grounded to this bus bar, okay? As like the neutrals bus on this one, and it keeps everything together. All your neutrals are together, your grounds are together, and all your hots are together. So I hope I explained that okay for you guys. And you got different size wire for carrying different amounts of amperage, different loads for different types of appliances. And you'll see here on this 20 amp side, you'll see they all have them labeled and tagged the electrician, so they know when they put these breakers in, when they get to that point, they'll know where that wire comes from inside the house. They know what kind of breaker to put in, so on and so forth. The same with these 15s, they'll have them all labeled there on the back side over there. Okay, so let's go inside and look at some different things, and you can see all these distribute throughout the house. All right guys, before we go inside, let's talk about 2 more things I forgot to tell you about. These blue wires. These are low voltage lines. You got one here and you got one here. This one is for your garage door opener, for the button on your wall, right? That's for the receiver within your garage door opener. It comes across the attic space, they got it mounted, goes to your garage door opener. And that again goes to the receiver, which is inside your garage door opener for your buttons and your remotes and stuff. You also have the 110 plug, that's where your actual motor of your garage door will be plugged in. So you're kind of a 2-sided system there. Kind of the same thing your doorbell has. Your doorbell chime works off 110. You know, the big ding dong, okay? That's this wire here. That's low voltage though. That goes up to that box where your transformer will be mounted for the doorbell. The low voltage side comes from your doorbell out there, okay, to there. And this also, it has 110, it has 2 sides like the garage door. It has a 110 side and a low voltage side. One's for the dinger and one's for that doorbell out there, okay? Kind of start walking through the house. Now there's standard circuits and there's GFCI circuits, okay? GFCI, ground fault circuit interrupters, those are generally for your wet areas, maybe on 20 amps, usually 20 amp circuits in a modern construction. Then you'll have your regular 15 amp circuits. But as we enter the back door here, this is, remember that AC chase that we saw, the green pipe coming up through the foundation when we were pouring our foundation and all? That's where all your AC lines from your air handler are gonna go down through that tube, out to the backyard, and hook up to the condenser unit up there, the compressor unit, right? Now, inside here, we have our AC ducts. Now, you'll see that they have, and Dwight's a huge fan of radiant barrier, but they've always been like this. This helps reflect heat when it's up in the attic space, especially when it's up in the attic space, like those ducts, those supply ducts are, okay? It radiates heat away from this duct because you're trying to keep the air as cold as possible, because they are fiberglass lined, all right? So that cold air passes through, keeps them under control. Now this is a 40 amp line coming. See how thick this wire is? Let me turn this around. All right, you can see how thick that wire is, and it's gonna be for a 40 amp line. All right, there's gonna be one of those, and there's one in the kitchen. Coming into the laundry space, lots going on in here. We have our 30 amp line. Remember we talked about that outside there. There's our 30 amp line for our dryer, okay? And we also have our drain lines for all of our sinks on the back side. That's we'll look that over here in a minute. That's for that shower over that bathroom over there. And we have our washer and dryer space. our hot and cold water coming in, hot on the left, cold on the right, under pressure as we know, and then our drain line going out into, eventually we'll make it to the main drain, out through gravity, out to the main sewer, okay? Then we have our, this will be probably a dedicated line. This is a 20 amp line coming in here, okay? Actually, there's 2 wires. This may not be dedicated. So there's a 20 amp line that's using 12-2 wire, 12-2 with a ground. It's got white, black, and a ground. That'll be for your washer plug, okay? All right, making our way somewhere else. And of course, we have our cans, if you are our mounts, if you will, for our lights throughout. And they'll all be on different circuits depending on where they're at. You'll also have this box right here. That is part of your smoke detector system, all right? And there'll be ones throughout the house, all right? So let's go on in here into the front bedroom, I guess is what we'll do first since we're already here. Ceiling fan mounts, those are screwed directly to that piece of wood, to part of your truss package there. And they put that in. It's not really part of the truss package, the framers will put that in. Maybe the electricians will knock one in place, but anyway, that's bolted there so that they can mount their ceiling fan. And over here is another one of those boxes, again, receptacle box sort of thing, but it's for your smoke detector mount, and they'll all be on one circuit. So when one goes off, they all go off, all right? And you can see just different receptacles around the house. You'll see your 15 amp circuits. This one's for outside. It's going to be part of your, it might be part of a GFCI circuit, I'm not sure. And then you got your 15 amps coming in through the house here, okay? And they'll be throughout the house. There's different codes for how often they have to be. And also you'll see here the plates that they put on. So when the sheetrock guys come in and screw their sheetrock here, if they hit that, it's not going to hurt this wire. It'll just destroy their screw, but it's not going to hurt that wire, because if not, you'd be popping wires all the time, okay? You have your switches here, you have a switch here, receptacle down here, and switches, what they are, they're just basically circuit interrupters. You know, here you go. You got wires coming in and out because it's part of a whole circuit, but switches are just circuit interrupters. All they do is allow power to go through or not go through, okay? Coming around, and you'll have, there's a lot of places where you'll have lots going on, okay? We'll start here with the, I guess we'll start with the plumbing. Again, we all know where we saw it coming up through the foundation. The plumbers have now come in and roughed in the interior. You got all your drain lines, you got your inbound, okay? You got all that stuff. You got a toilet. This is your sink area. This is your toilet area. Remember the large pipe, all right? That'll be cut off. They'll put the flange on it, and they'll set the toilet. Once they tile the floor, they'll set the toilet. All your plumbing infrastructure here. You got your valve. Let's go around the back there. We didn't see the valve. That's the only way to see that. Let's go around the back. You'll see your plumbing valve for the, and this is a diverter valve is what it is. It just allows certain amounts of hot and cold water to go through. There it is right there. Depending on where the valve is positioned, once the handle's put on it, just allows a certain amount of hot water, cold water to come up through this pipe, this PEX. PEX, that stuff is super strong. And allows it to go out to your shower head, okay? And this PEX, like we talked about in the early days of our series, PEX is used because it's super strong. It can be flexible. It can take a lot of abuse, all right? What else we got in here? That's right, we didn't do the power yet, did we? Okay. Oh, one more thing. You'll see that this is a great place to look at the vent. The plumbing systems have to be vented. If they're not vented, you'll get an airlock, right? So they put vents up through the roof lines. That'll all be capped off and have a nice sheath over it and everything. That'll all be sealed up with roofing material, but that allows your plumbing system to breathe so water can go down. So if it gets rain, it doesn't matter because it just goes down with the drain as well, okay? You got lots of different switches. You'll have this is going to be a receptacle here, okay? You'll see GFCI circuits are generally on 20 amps. This is part of a GFCI circuit because it's in a wet area, all right? Ground fault circuit interrupter has to be a GFCI. 15 amp circuits, you'll have a light and a fan switch for this bathroom, so that's there, okay? Coming back out, same thing kind of in this bedroom. This is just your basic bedroom with your 15 amp circuits, and they'll run, there's a certain amount of electrical outlets they can have on each circuit. So the circuits in the house will be broken up. They'll have their own individual breakers, and they'll just string them along, boom, boom, boom. They'll just kind of string them along as they need to, all right? And just as a word of knowledge, just because it's in this room doesn't mean it's on the same circuit. Not all of these may be on the same circuit, just depends on how the house is laid out. Sometimes you'll find an oddball one where it's on a different, you know, circuit, a living room circuit versus a bedroom circuit, something like that, okay? Anyway, enough of that. Here we are, we're in the kitchen. Lots going on here, okay? First thing we got is our inbound water. It's a great place to see the PEX and some of the corners they put in. This, like I said, this stuff is so strong. This is your water for your ice maker and your water in your door if you have it. And this is what they call a hammer, anti-hammer valve. If you shut water off super fast, the water's coming in someplace, right? It's called a water, it comes in fast, you shut a faucet off super fast, that water's still moving forward and it hits the back of the valve. It's called a water hammer. This allows it to slow that water. It absorbs that impact that water has, because sooner or later, if you do that enough, it will affect your pipe. You could cause a leak. All right. So when you shut your faucets off, try to shut them off easy. You know, don't sit there and go crash, because it will cause water hammers within the system. Smaller ones, but definitely can affect it over a long period of time. All right. You see all the receptacles along. Those are all on 20 amps. You see the yellow wire. That's 12.2, right? 12.2 to ground. Those are all together on a GFCI circuit because it's near a wet area. It has to be protected, right? Coming down, we got a whole lot going on down here. We saw the gas line coming into the house. Well, this is one terminus. This is for a gas range, all right? This house has two terminuses, one here and one at the back for a gas stub for a gas grill or whatever you want to hook up. All right, and if it's a gas stove, it still needs a 110 to light it. So there you go. There's your 110 to light it. It's on a 20 amp circuit as well. Okay. Also, coming down here, if you were to have a electric oven, you need bigger power, right? So that's what this is here for. That's what they got the big line there for. Probably a 40 amp line. Okay. All right, they're pulling power. Sorry for the hesitation there. They're pulling power off a 20 amp circuit. I'm not sure which one of these is. I could fish around there, but that's where the island's going to get its power. All right, it's going to come down here. It's going to go under the foundation and then to the island. So let's go check that out. All right, come over to the island. You can see where it pops out. Okay, right up here. And then it's going to go to the receptacles that you need for your receptacles that are on your island. You have your dishwasher plug-in, you have your garbage disposal plug-in. All of that is fed off of that. Okay. And then of course you have your sink, your inbound hot and cold, and then your drain for your sink. And they'll tap off of the hot side to go to your dishwasher. Okay. So that's what they'll just cut it and splice and do different things there. All right. Then of course on the end of your island, you have receptacles as well. All right, so let's get on into the master. You'll see this is a great place to see a supply, now how you can remember that supply and return, right? We're supplying the room with cold air or hot air, depending on the time of the year, but we're returning air, and these are what they call jumpers. See how this one goes to that one? That's a part of the return process of the house, but it's returning the air back to the unit, all right? Let's see, we come into the master bath. Let's see what we can talk about here. Another, of course, plumbing setup for the toilet, for the inbound water for the toilet itself. You'll have two switches here, one for light, one for a fan. You can see there's a setup for two switches. Okay, again, little test, white wire, 15 amps, right? Let's see, it's a closet space, it looks like, and then of course you have your shower with your diverter valve, just like the tub on the other side of the house. And here's a great look at that. Originally, when we came in, this is a look at all of that plumbing, right? You got your sinks, you got your two sinks, you got your inbound and drain, all going down into one, all vented up. Ooh, where's that? There, hell, all vented up, all the way up to the roof. And then, of course, that becomes part of the drain, the master drain going on into the house, okay? And you'll have your GFCI receptacle right here. Again, 20 amp circuit, right? Okay. What else can we see here? I think we can go pretty much, no, let's see. And the gas line split right above the, let's see, here we go. The gas line splits right there, if you guys can see that. Okay, that's the main one coming in from outside, comes down, comes over here, tees off, goes down to the kitchen, then also goes through the attic space to the outside over there and down. We'll look at that in a minute, but real quick, I want to show you something. These are these are going to be light positions, and that's an adjustable fixture. They hang it up there and they can slide it depending on what the need is. They can slide it back and forth. They just got a little slide there, and there's lights throughout. Okay, let's see, we take this gas line and you can see the receptacles around here, right? You can see the receptacles. They're per code, they're at certain intervals around the house. They have to, and then they have to take into consideration where the windows are, where the doors are. They may have to adjust a little bit. Sometimes they add extras because they have to meet a minimum, right? Over here you have a receptacle for your TV stuff and everything, but you also have your cable lines coming in. They've got them stubbed out in that, near that box, so that's all there for you. All right, so now we come outside and there's that gas line. See, someone had already put that gas there. There's a gas line going out, all stubbed out. We'll walk around the back real quick. And there's the stub out for the gas right there. Okay, so you can hook up your grills and put fittings on them and do whatever you got to do there. All right, then of course you got different receptacles outside. That's, you know, that's there, and then there's going to be one, should be one over by the air unit. Maybe they're using that one because the air unit has to have a dedicated receptacle as well for its use, for technicians use, I'll call it. Okay, all right, let's see, I think that's about it, guys. All right, gang, I hope you've enjoyed a 10,000 foot view of what's behind your walls. And it's there because none of us like going to the creek to get water and then none of us like to carry lanterns around the house, right? So we love those modern conveniences. So I hope this helps you understand what's going on. I like to stay educated. We like to educate folks out there, our clients and all. I'm no expert at this, but I do have a real good understanding of what goes on. If I've said something incorrect and you know about it, give me a comment below because I want to learn as well, but I do my best to make it as accurate as possible so that we can educate our clients on stuff on a resale home inspection, on a new construction build, anything at all. We love helping folks, and we work, of course, in St. Johns County and Flagler counties, so that kind of makes it so that we really have a good experience base, I'll call it. All right, anyway, if we can help you guys, give me a thumbs up, give me a comment below. We love you guys, and I want you to have a fantastic day. Thanks.